Welcome. Sorry we're getting started a few minutes late. We wanted to let some of our guests enter. I'm Laura Frazier. I'm a professor in the School of Medicine, and I have had the pleasure and the honor to be director of the Anatomical Donor Program for 10 years this spring. So it's I do a lot on campus, but this is really one of my favorite and most cherished roles that I have, is being able to interact with many of your loved ones and many of you out in the audience today. Logistics before I forget, for those of you joining us on webinar, this is our first service in the last couple of years since the pandemic. Our last one was canceled a few weeks before in 2020. So we're glad that you all made it. And we have this webinar set up. I was gonna say, if you're out there in the audience on the webinar, just keep an eye on your volume. We're gonna switch mics when the music comes on, and kind of like a commercial, it might get really loud. So just kind of beware on that end. So this is Volker Hall. And even this morning at my son's early baseball game, I saw a former student, and I said I was leaving to go to an event. He's like, "What are y'all doing on campus?" And I said, "We're having our service of gratitude." And he said, "Where is it?" I said, "Volker Hall." He's like, "Why is it in Volker? Why is it in like Alice Stevens Center or something?" And in a way, Alice Stevens Center is a very nice auditorium on campus. But in a way, this is like us welcoming you to our home. Volker Hall is where many faculty and students spend a lot of their time, home away from home for a lot of us. So in a sense, we hope that you can feel like we're welcoming you. Our students are all around. We have many faculty here, so thank you for being here. We say that this is a service of gratitude for our donors, and it absolutely is. As you know, it's a willed body program, so I like to be able to tell the students, everyone here wanted to be here. The second part of all of that is you all, because someone could want to be here, but upon their death, they had to be in the presence of someone that loved them enough to honor their wishes and support their decision to be here. So no matter how much someone wanted to come to the lab to be part of this learning activity, part of service, they had to be surrounded at death with someone who loved them to say yes. Mom or dad can go to Volker Hall and be with the students for a while. So this is to thank you all as well, because this would not be happening without you all. Before I turn it over to the students, I'm going to just briefly point out Adrian Ellis and Jonathan Friend. They are really the backbone of our program. Many of you, they're the ones who answer the calls, do the paperwork. I know many of you know them well. So thank you all for being here. I have two good students, Adam Sturdivant and Emma Wright are my student co-directors, and I'm going to turn it over to Adam to get our program going.
Good afternoon, faculty, staff, my fellow students, and most importantly, the families and loved ones of our donors. It is both an honor and a privilege to welcome you all to this service of gratitude. There's a saying, and it's rumored to be an ancient Greek proverb, which states, "A society grows great when its people plant trees in whose shade they shall never sit." As we gather here today, we are humbled and grateful for the invaluable gift given to us by your loved ones. It is with this spirit of humility and gratitude that we dedicate today's ceremony to their legacy, expressing our deepest appreciation for their immeasurable contributions to our education. We invite you to join us in celebrating the lives of these remarkable individuals who have left an indelible mark on our hearts and our future careers. Thank you for sharing this special day with us, and may we all leave here inspired by the selflessness and generosity demonstrated by these blessed people, these wonderful humans who help us understand much more than science. Your loved ones teach us what life is really all about: hope, community, honor, kindness, generosity, selflessness, and love. Thank you.
Hello everyone, my name is Elena Chesnikova and I'm here on behalf of the College of Arts and Sciences at UAB. I'll be reading Your Gift by Emily Gaddy. You gave your body as a gift. Surely you lived your life in the same way, a gift to those who knew you. The act of giving yourself will heal the lives of thousands you'll never know, but who will know the grace of those who learned from you, strangers and many more. You were the brave souls, you who could give at a time when so many of us could not. You never knew us, and yet you gave to us a part of you, though not all of you, for you have gone beyond. You have crossed over to your eternal home, to the place that we're all going. You saw and felt the world through the vessel that you offered up so generously to us. And because of your gift, we can learn, so that we may give to others as you gave. Thank you.
Hi, can you hear me? Hi, my name is Abby Cook, and I'm representing the PA school here at UAB. And I'll be reading Do Not Stand at My Grave and Weep. Do not stand at my grave and weep. I am not there. I do not sleep. I am 1,000 winds that blow. I am the diamond glints on snow. I am the sunlight on ripened grain. I am the gentle autumn rain. When you awaken in the morning's rush, I am the swift, uplifting rush of quiet birds in circled flight. I am the soft stars that shine at night. Do not stand at my grave and cry. I am not there. I did not die. Thank you.
Thank you, Emma. That was beautiful. Every semester, when I address my students at the beginning of a term, I remind them that the donor bodies that are in front of them represent a true donation. But we need to think not only of these individuals that are in front of us, but like Dr. Fraser mentioned, the families that know that these individuals' bodies are here before us. I am overwhelmed to be in your presence today, because I got to experience what many of you experienced just last month. My mom, about 5 years ago, was diagnosed with dementia, and she had gradually declined, and towards the end, it became quite rapid. On Saturday, she was fine, standing in the kitchen, dancing, having a bowl of breakfast. The next day, she qualified for hospice care. On Monday, I flew to Arizona to say goodbye to my mom for the very last time. Before she passed, my dad pulled me aside and he said, "I have something to tell you." I will never forget what he said next. He said, "Son, we're not having a funeral for your mom because she's decided she wants to be cremated, but before we cremate her, she's going to donate her body to science. How do you feel about that?" That was one of the heaviest feelings I could possibly imagine. For the past 20 years, I've taught human anatomy. And now I am in the position of having to be where you all are. This story that I've told so many times, I'm now experiencing it myself. Thank you so much for allowing your loved one to enrich our lives. We appreciate you. We love you. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. My name is Ford Cleveland, and I am a first-year medical student here at UAB. As you see on the stage today, we have several representatives from our schools to read off all of the names of the donors over the last 3 years. But before we do that, we would like to light candles on behalf of each school that has benefited from your family's gracious sacrifices so that we may better learn about medicine, healthcare, and all the aspects of our bodies. First, on behalf of the College of Arts and Sciences. The Marnix E. Heersink School of Medicine. The School of Dentistry. The School of Health Professions. School of Nursing. And the School of Optometry. We will now begin to read the names of all the donors over the last 3 years. If a family member or representative of a family is present today, once the name of your family member or loved one is read, please stand so that one of our students may bring a little note to you and your family. Ruth Vertel Abney. Jack Adair. Jean Edward Adams. Henry Asbury Adams Jr. Margaret Adams. Reginald Russell Aldridge Sr. Joan Allen. Charles Barrett Almond Jr. Houston Eugene and Lyra Zenoma Anderson. Vivian Anderson. Jer Andrews. Kenneth Dowell Adkins. Billy Badgett, Martha Ann Bailey, Sue Bailey, Ruth Harriet Byard, Jack Kirk Baker, Richard Allen Baker, Sandra Faye Baker, Virginia Baker, James Melton Barkley, Dr. Zerny B. Barnes, Jr., Gilbert Irwin Barrow, Sr., Marion Laverne Bars, Shirley Jean Barlett, Dr. Robert Poe Bauman, Carolyn Baumgartner, Clarence Hudson Beadlescombe, Richard Thomas Bearden, Paula Bell Beck, Jewel Lee Bell, Richard E. Bennett, Bobby Wayne Biggers, Judith Black, Sharon Juanita Blackberry, Janice Bladden, Billy Ray Blair, Mrs. Bruce Blake, Mary Virginia Blake, William Kennedy Blake, Jr., Dorothy Virginia Blalock, Josephine Blanchard and Edward Franklin Dees, Jr., Carol Joyce Boagman, Jean Bolding, Kenneth Bowles, Lois Jean Bolt, Ralph Preston Bolt, Bobby Anthony Bonds, Edward Earl Bonds, James Culberson Borders, Clarence Edward Boutwell, Jr., Wanda Janelle Box, Osber Richard Bradford, Sherry Lynn Bradford, Norma Elizabeth Brady, John Owen Brasher, Larry Dean Brown, Betty Jean Buck, Victor Earl Buell, Rebecca Burdell, Linda Burkett, Shirley Busby, Jer Johnson, Booba Cecile Byers, Glenda June Bird, John Addison Caldwell, Rebecca Allen Cameron, Rebecca Lynn Kentrell.
Hi, my name is Marley Jones, and I'll also be speaking on behalf of the School of Medicine. And I'm just going to continue the names. Christian Sean Caraxiolo, Fred Allen Carden, Margaret Ellen Carlton, Frances Lorraine Carter, James Leon Carter, Naomi Sue Carter, Alice Gray Caruso, Danny Ray Certain, Daphne Adelpha Chamberlain, John Charles Creek, Jacob Thomas Chestnut Jr. and Betty Jean Chestnut, Sylvia Clay, Elizabeth White Kleino, Harry Reginald Cogburn Jr., Thomas Gibson Coleman III, Stella Coles, Josette Collins, Dev Jeet Kaur Kosa Moss, Robert Edward Comas, Mary Chloe Conaway, Orville Edward Congdon, William Ralph Cook, Paula Copeland, Donald Lee Cottingham, Larry Wilson Crabtree, Gary L. Craig, Billy Ray Crane, Betty Jean Cummings, Mary Hope Curtis, Rufus Leonidas Dalton Jr., Davis Wendell Brent, Sylvia Camilla R. Davison, Fred Alvin Dean, Michael Sean Dean, Vernon Herbert Beavers, Billy MacDelee, Elizabeth DeRamus, Lloyd and Claire Deering, James Fred Draper, Helen Irene Drowan, Rena Catherine Dudemont, Karen Dorothy Dunn, Robert Earl Dunn, Harold Lynn Eakin, Augustus Lee Edge, Phyllis Jean Edminister, Dorothy Marie Edwards, Charles Ezra Elkins, Amy Gilmore Ellison Jr., Alfred Douglas Elwell, Doris Emerson, Olivia Marie Inlow, Leslie Leodora Enright, Lynn Taylor Epsman, John Robert Estes, Sally Catherine Estock, Barbara Ann Evans, Bert and Marjorie Ray Fedor, John Braxton Ferguson, Wanda Sue Williams Ferguson, Julia Ann Fleck, John Arthur Floyd, Linda Fleury, William Scott Foley, Ruby Esther Foster, Alan Bobby Franklin, Francis Lucille Fritz, Carol Kenneth Frost, Mariana Frost, Cheryl Fuller, Paul Bruce Gerhart, Barbara Ann Giannotti, Nornie Carolyn Gill, Peggy Jo Gillenwaters.
Hi, I'm Ellie Gorman. I'm also a first-year student at the School of Medicine. Billy Wayne Gilliand, James Cleve Gilliland, James and Francis Godfrey, Walter Leroy Getzman, Henry Golson, Barbara Catherine Gonzalez, William Rudolph Good, Patty Lynn Gosa, David Richard Gossett, Edwin Ronald Gray, Janet Claire Greathouse, Thomas Randolph Green, Vala Jean Green, Sam Earl Green, Thomas Jackson Grimes, Terry Sandra Gross, Patricia Gail Gulick, Paula Elaine Guthrie, Curtis O'Neill Guy, Michael George Gierko, Dr. James Heron Halsey, Nadine Cecilia Hamilton, Joyce Harkins, James Albert Harp, Brenda A. Harrelson, Carolyn Joyce Harris, Betty Camille Harrison, Michael Hart, Patricia Ellen Hartley, George Edward Hartwell Jr., Cecil Glenn and Laura Jean Hastings, Philip Mitchell Hayden, Janie Haygood, Betty Lorraine Healy, James Horace and Margaret Sue Hendry, Sue Henson, Barbara Ann Herlihy, Patricia Ann Herron, William Kelly Hennesauer, Ronald Dean Heverin, Mary Hicks, Carol Hicks Woodall, Kathy Darlene Hill, James Edward Hodges, Thomas Warren Hogan, Dr. Catherine Rosemary Hogan Gancars, Marjorie Holcomb, Charles Leonard Hollifield, Mava Jean Holloway, Charlotte Diane Holt, Dr. John Houston Holt Jr., Mary Edna Holt, James Odell Hopper, Gary Lynn Hornsby, Clarence Landon Howard Jr., Marjorie Gale Howard, James Robert Howell, Joanne Howell, Robert Huey Hudson Sr. and Elizabeth Hudson, David O'Neill Huff, Donald Theo Hubbard, Juanita Ann Hughes, Robert Basil Hughes Jr., Edith Hunker, Kathy Diane Jackson, Joelle Elizabeth Jackson, Chloe Katrina Jacobs, James Ferris Jardine, Roger David Jenkins, Carolyn Annette Johnson, Cecil Stanley Johnson, Geraldine Johnson, Gladys Evelyn Johnson, Joseph Wayne Johnson, Mildred Evelyn Johnson, Tamara Jean Johnson, Betty Lorraine Jones, Eleanor May Toby Jones, Joan Ellendor Jones, Richard Wayne Jones Sr., Warren Gamaliel Jones Jr., Dorothy Jurgens, Susan Ann Carlick, Sue Kelly, Richard Allen, and Judy Ann Campaigner.
Hey, my name is Matthew Gerald, and I'm here representing the School of Medicine. Jack Kempkins, Douglas Mosley Kerr, Marzella Ramona Kite, Barbara Evelyn Kyle, Wilborn Killian, Grady Spencer King Jr., Jeffrey Lynn King, Christopher Wayne Kirsch, Dorothy Ray Koch, Martha Ann Cruson, Rose Lake, Emily Lamar, Rita Louise Lambert, Dewey Ralph Lancaster, Olga Nora Lavin, Grady Washington Leach III, Jimmy Darrell Lee, Richard Allen Little, Kay Littlepage, William David Livingston, Stephen Waddell Lockhart, Francis Lowry, Linda Luna, Virginia Lyle, Henrietta Longstreet McGuire, Flavis Lee Maddox, Elizabeth Estelle Mallory, Angela Meniscalco, Gloria Faye Mann, Charles Thomas Maples Jr., Rex Allen Martin, Terry Lynn Martin, Sable Marzella, Dorothy Malden, Robert Charles Mays, Shirley Irene McCarty, Rose McClurg, James Lafayette McDonald, Margaret Louise McDowell, Francis McEachern, Grace Charlene McGee, Edith Ashley McGowan, Arvid Kenneth McGuire, Ethel Louise McIndoe, Marjorie McKinnon, Virginia McLean, Modi Charles McNeil, James Richard Milson, Linda Merrill, Joyce Ann Metzler, Patricia Ann Meyer, Charlotte Elizabeth Miller, Mary Louise Miller, Olin Thomas Miller III, Sarah Miller, Betty Grace Mills, Dorothy Neal Miner, Sue Ann Minovich, Reggie and Dot Myrie, Kenneth Allen Mitchell, Ellis Thomas Mize, Richard Lawrence Moore, Ellen Marie Morris, William George Morrison, Larry Eugene Murphy, Jean Nash, Catherine Neal, Hoyt Colquitt and Ida Swanson Neal, Thomas Lee Niebring, Gerald Soren Nielsen, Sue Ellen Nielsen, Thomas Allen Nielsen, Brenda Jane Nipper, Daryl Ray Norman, Carolyn Sue Norris, Lawrence Norris Jr., Eston Gibbons Norwood Jr., William Oliver and Evelyn Oates, Michael Douglas Oliver, Jean Lloyd Osborne, Charles Ray Owen, and Roland Stewart Owensby.
Hello, my name is Paige Lamson, and I'm a first-year physician assistant student. Mildred Page, James Edward Palmer, Jean Ann Palmer, James William Parker, Melvin Douglas Parkinson, Thomas Leo Pate, Kimberly Dawn Patterson, Gwendolyn Patton, Andrew Edward and Mary Lucille Patty, Bessie Iona Pearson, Vernon Earl Peake, Beverly Pellegrin, Charles Anthony Perry, Margaret Perry, Julian Phillips, Eleanor Claire Pickett, Iwaldo H. Penn, Jerry Blake Pittman, James Edward Pitts, Norman Ellie Ponder Jr., David Lanwell Postlethwaite, Robert Balmer Pouncey, Willie Bell Prosser, Juanita Pugh, Evelyn Pulley, Thomas Levert Randolph Sr., Catherine Randolph, Eleanor Jean Rankin, Francis Collier Rawls Jr., Mary Neal Rector, John J. Reed, Juliana Elisa Reed, Norman Rimmick, Mary Jean Reno, Diane Reynolds, George James Roberts, Howard Roberts, Marguerite Denise Roberts, Nancy Robinson, Jack Tomlinson Rogers, Clifford O'Neill Rogers, Robert Jackson Rollins Jr., Julia Rooney, Dr. Robert Earl Roth, William Michael Russell, Jacqueline Russo, Mahatmar Sabori, Howard Edwin Sauerblick II, Luther James Scott, Geneva Scroggins, Mary Charlotte Sellers, Barry Nelson Shirley, Ruby Joel Shway, Malcolm Sims, Catherine Huline Sims, Peggy Jane Singley, Doris Ella Stake, Donna Ray Slaughter, Larry Virgil Sloan, Neil and Claire E. Smith, Dorothy Ann Smith, Mabry Belton Smith Jr., Michael Dwayne Smith, Joe William and Mary Jane Smitherman, Mary Snow, Joyce Spain, Teresa Lillian Spradley, Mark Gilpin Stalker, Evelyn Elizabeth Stevens, Lois Eileen Stevens, Mary Stewart, Kathleen Roberta Stitt, Vicki Charnine Stewart, Gordon Scott Streeter, James Gregory Swindle, and David Rusty Tanner.
Good afternoon. My name is Ashton Callahan. I'm a first-year PA student on behalf of the School of Health Professions. David Arthur Taylor, Roscoe Conklin Tedder Jr., Ida Yvonne Terry, Walter Stanfield Terry, Amy Suzanne Thomas, Annie Sue Thomas, Joe Olan Thomas Jr., Thomas Leon Thompson, Lauren James Tomlinson, Susan D. Travis, Gary Lynn Trentham, Mamie Turner, Tara Lee Tyler, Imogene Valentine, Milton Edward Vaughn, William Perry Vaughn, Robert Eugene Vincent Sr., Jerry Allen Vinson, Karen Joyce Volker, Pauline Elizabeth Voss, Margaret Jean Wagner, Jane Catherine Waite, Willa Dean Walden, George Halcott Walker Jr., Terriel Wade Walker, Howard Ray Wallace, Paula Rose Warnes, Eddie Webster, Sylvia Lee Weed, Peter Michael Weiss, Zenda Marie Wesner, Wilma Whitaker, Richard Leland White, Merrill Cantrell Whittington, Agnes Veach Wiedemeyer, Lorna Annis Wiggins, Wendy Heitch Wiggins, Dwight Williams, Frances Catherine Williams, June Janine Williams, Lenora Allen Williams, Mark Williams, Wendy Carol Williams, Willie Gay Williams, Wanda Faye Williamson, Margaret Willis, James Frank Wilson, Leltus Herbert Wilson, Starlin Alonzo Wilson, Robert Lee Wiltsey, Nancy Jane Wingo, Charles Harry Warnell, Sonia Faye Womack, Thomas Allen Womble, Carol Ann Woodall, George Brooks Woods, Libby Ann Wortham, James Christopher Wren Sr., Archie Calvin Young, and Ruth Louise Zeisler. Thank you.
I know you've already seen my face, but now I'm going to represent my military self. I'm known as Abby Cook, but in the military, I am Sergeant Cook. What an honor to hear those names, and an honor to be here with you today. Many of our donors and their family members have served in the military, and we'd like to honor you at this time. If anyone here has served in the military, or your family member, your loved one has served in the military, would you please stand with me today? Please join me in the playing of taps.
Hello again. As you can imagine, many of our donors have spent their whole lives in service in some regard, and this coming to be a donor was their final act and way to honor themselves. As you know, this little kind of information about our program, about 70% of the donors, everyone will be cremated at the end, as you all know. About 70% the cremains will go back to their families. Some of them, though, are interred, and we have this beautiful space we call the Donor Memorial Gardens. If you're familiar with the area, it's out I-20 towards Cook Springs. UAB has a bunch of properties, so it's a really nice space. So if any of your loved ones are staying with us for this purpose, this is where we would be happy to take visitors at any time. Like I said, it's a little ways out of town. I wanted to show you the space. It's a nice, serene setting. This is a couple years ago. It was snowing, so we got to snap this picture, which was nice. Well, a few years ago, there was about almost 10, the workings were, let's try to find something on campus, honor the donor. So as the facility is hard to get to in Cook Springs, so I think 16 or 17, this sculpture was erected. Hopefully you'll have time to visit. It's right here on the east side of the plaza. Many students and UAB associated people walk by it all the time and don't know what it is. But this is the sculpture we erected. Nice, simple. And what you see on these panels is these were names or the etchings. So I know a lot of you have wanted your family members. Every year about this time, we add the new panels. So if you are one who has requested that your loved one's name be put on this, what you want to do is on each panel, they're listed alphabetical. So I think we put up the last 4 or 5 were put up a few weeks ago. So if you're searching for your loved one's name, start at the last panel. I think it's 20 something right now, and look alphabetically. If your name happens to be there, not be there, ask Adrian and I can look it up. And if we did have to have a hard deadline for the printer, but if not, we have some more already in the queue. So this is a really nice space that you can check out after the service. So I like to tell students that I hope I get to be a donor one day. I remember it was about 20 years ago, because I knew where I was living in Massachusetts, having a conversation with my grandmother at the time. She started telling me about like what she wanted playing at her funeral. And I thought it was, when she was serious, I better write this down. And I still know what notebook it's written in. I'm not sure I know where the notebook is, but she lived to the young old age of 95. So many of us got to hear her wishes. And at the time when I was younger, I thought that was kind of weird. But as I've grown up, I've known like, wow, what a great place to be of peace of mind and peace of heart, to have thoughts about your death and what you would like to happen, right? So anybody, that's why I say I'd like to be a donor. That means they end up where they wanted to be, right? They didn't die tragically. There was no need for an autopsy or any suspicion around their death. They died with people that honored their wishes, right? And this, as the little poem says, you know, and did you get what you wanted from this life? Even so, I did. And what did you want? To call myself beloved, to feel myself beloved on the earth. And we can say all of your donors absolutely did that. So I'm going to read a little something maybe from the perspective of a donor, maybe to the students out here. To Remember Me by Robert Test. The day will come when my body will lie upon a white sheet, neatly tucked under 4 corners of mattress, located in a hospital, busily occupied with the living and the dying. At a certain moment, a doctor will determine that my brain has ceased to function, and that for all intents and purposes, my life has stopped. When that happens, do not attempt to install artificial life into my body by use of a machine. And don't call this my deathbed. Let it be called the bed of life. And let my body be taken from it to learn and help others lead a fuller lives. Give my sight to the man who has never seen a sunrise, a baby's face, or the love in the eyes of a woman. Give my heart to a person whose own heart has caused nothing but endless days of pain. Give my blood to the teenager who was pulled from the wreck so that he might live to see his grandchildren play. Give my kidneys to one who depends on a machine to exist from week to week. Take my bones, every muscle, every fiber, and every nerve, and learn to find a way to make a crippled child walk. Explore every corner of my brain, take my cells if necessary, and let them grow so that someday a speechless boy will shout out at the crack of the bat, or a deaf girl will hear. Use this gift of my body to advance the knowledge that might allow a person to be given a second chance of life. Burn what is left of me and scatter the ashes to the wind so that will help the flowers grow. If you must bury something, let it be my faults, my weaknesses, my prejudice against my fellow man. Give my sins to the devil, give my soul to God. If by chance you wish to remember me, do it in a kind deed or word for someone who needs it. If you do all that I have asked, if you do this, I will live forever.
Heard there was a secret chord that David played and it pleased the Lord, but you don't really care for music, do ya? Well, it goes like this: the fourth, the fifth, the minor fall, the major lift, the baffled king composing. Hallelujah, 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 hallelujah. Hallelujah. Well, your faith was strong, but you needed proof. You saw her bathing on the roof, her beauty and the moonlight overthrew you. She tied you to a kitchen chair, she broke your throne and cut your hair, and from your lips she drew the hallelujah. Hallelujah. Hallelujah, hallelujah, hallelujah. Baby, I've been here before. I've seen this room and I've walked this floor. I used to live alone before I knew you. And I've seen your flag on the Marble Arch, but love is not a victory march. It's a cold and a broken hallelujah, 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 hallelujah. There was a time when you let me know what's really going on below, but now you never show that to me, do you? Remember when I moved in you and the holy dove was moving too, and every breath we drew was hallelujah, 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 hallelujah. Maybe there's a God above, but all I ever learned from love was how to shoot someone who outdrew you. And it's not a cry that you hear at night, it's not somebody who's seen the light, it's a cold and a broken hallelujah, 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 hallelujah. Hallelujah, 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 hallelujah. Hallelujah.
Hello, my name is Eloise Cotton, and I'm here today on behalf of the Physician Assistant Program at UAB. Today I'll be reading Pay It Forward. In 2000, a movie was released entitled Pay It Forward. In the movie, a young boy was asked to devise a plan to change the world, and he came up with the following idea. Everyone should do a good deed or provide help for 3 people, and only expect in return that each of those people pay it forward by giving a hand to 3 additional people. Doing the math makes it easy to see how quickly a large number of people are affected by the generosity of that first person. By giving the gift of themselves, your loved ones took the kindness and spirit of giving that they had experienced throughout their lifetimes and paid it forward. But they didn't merely do good deeds for 3 people. They provided an unparalleled assistance to hundreds of students like myself. Students who have learned how amazing and just how fragile the human body is. But they have also learned how incredibly selfless and generous the human spirit can be. It is this generosity that the students are now charged with paying it forward to each and every patient they treat in the days to come. These future healthcare professionals will no doubt make an impact on their world. They will go on to serve people in third world countries, urban cities, and the most rural parts of this great state. Some will go on to make strides in medical research, and others will go on to teach the next generation. There are even those who will serve the defenders of our country as care workers in the United States Armed Forces. And each person whose life they impact is ultimately touched by the generosity of those we have gathered to remember today. Both the students and the faculty are indebted to each and every one of your family members and friends who have given this gift to us, and it is a debt that we are more than happy to repay with our service to others throughout our careers. To honor your loved ones, we offer this promise. We will pay it forward. Thank you.
My name is Brigitte Aljabi, and I'm representing the School of Medicine. I'm reading the poem All Is Well. Death is nothing at all. I have only slipped into the next room. I am I, and you are you. Whatever we were to each other, that we are still. Call me by my old familiar name. Speak to me in the easy way which you always used. Put no difference in your tone. Wear no forced air of solemnity or sorrow. Laugh as we always laughed at the little jokes we enjoyed together. Play, smile, think of me, pray for me. Let my name be ever the household word that it always was. Let it be spoken without effect, without the trace of shadow on it. Life means all that it ever meant. It is the same as it ever was. There is absolute unbroken continuity. Why should I be out of mind because I am out of sight? I am but waiting for you, for an interval, somewhere very near, just around the corner. All is well.
Hello. Thank you so much for coming and being here with us today. We really appreciate you being here, and I don't think any of us can verbalize how much, what your sacrifice and what your family members have done for us. So thank you so very, very much. If you're interested, there will be a link to a webinar that you can rewatch this or share it with family members that will be posted on the ADP website within the next week. And if you have any questions, please feel free to contact us at any time. And please don't feel like you're obligated to take your time and remain seated as you want to. But when you're ready, feel free to join us in what we medical students like to affectionately call the pit for some light refreshments. So again, thank you so very, very much.